Alrighty traders, so John Howell here. So I wanted to do this video for you today because there's a few things that I'm noticing when it comes to the silver market, the silver ETF, the SLV, even the silver mining stocks. That's been one market that I've been really honing down on because there could be some really good trading opportunities around that. But also the oil market, which is the USO market as well, plus also the energy sector. There's a lot of things that are setting up there that I really want to walk you through to give you a bit of guidance around what's coming from here as well too. Now, I'm going to start off with the silver market, as you can see right now. One of the things that I am always trying to do myself is I'm always trying to make sure that I get in on the next move. One of the big mistakes that a lot of traders make is this. If you look at my bottom right chart here, okay, and if I take off all the moving averages and I bring up the last, say, 6 months, and this is actually a really good example here of what a lot of traders do and the way that I trade, and the reason why the way that I trade, I can really share with you here because it can really help you find much better entry points to give you much better of a high probability that you're jumping in at the start of the next move, not waiting for the next move and then going from there. So if you look at what this, say, SLV chart has been doing, okay, you can see there's two moving averages here. In fact, if I just let me just bring up one moving average. Okay, I'm going to bring up the one moving average here, which is my 24 moving average as I have here. And you can see down the bottom here. Now, one thing I want to share with you is one of the reasons why I'm seeing the SLV in the silver market probably going to break out soon and start to play catch up. It's really interesting, you know, like last year for me, my big focus was on gold. Now my focus is not on gold because it's already been making big moves. Now my focus is on other markets. So for example, one of my focuses in the past was platinum, right? And we talked about that before in the past. And I'm out of that right now. And if I try to find the platinum, where is the platinum one? There it is there, right? So this is platinum here. So this is platinum here, and you can see here my top charts, which are my weekly charts. You can see it's already had a very big move to the upside, very big breakout, and that was done and dusted. So that was that there. So for me, what I'm doing always is I'm trying to scan the market always to try to find, you know, like when is the next opportunity for me to get in. And one of the things that I'm always trying to do, if I look at it from a blank sort of, one thing I'm always trying to do is I'm always trying to say, okay, when is the next leg? Whether it's going to be a bigger move, like for example, if you look at my chart over here, which is my 12-month daily chart, you can see here that this trade here lasted for around about 1 month, okay? Now that gave me a 250% return, okay? Now, when you have a nice position on that, that could be that 6-week trade. That could be a $40,000 or $50,000 profit for you, right? Meaning, like if you had a $20,000 position on there, 6 weeks later, 250% return. You know, you're getting to that $40,000, maybe $50,000 profit. How many of these trades per year do you need to start to do, you know, 6 figures, multiple 6 figures, right? You don't need that many. That's where I want to encourage you to try to look for positions like this throughout the year. Not try to trade a lot, but try to find these positions. Now, obviously that goes through the education that you need to go through and so on and so forth. But the idea that the mindset should be, I'm trying to get involved with this thing. And if I can capture just a handful, right? I always like to call it that 7 to 10 really good trades per year that's likely to do this. Then we can start to talk some serious numbers, right? So I personally did really, really well in the last couple of months because Groupon here, platinum, 250%, and GRPN, right? This GRPN trade was a 300% return on my options. So I want you to look at those numbers here. If that was a $20,000 position, right, on Groupon, and for me, I like to trade the same amount of money every single time. So let's just call it $20,000, right? $20,000 on Groupon made what? $60,000. With me so far? Now that's $60,000. Now what? And then what did platinum make? Platinum made what? 250% return. 250% return, right? So now you're looking at what? 40 something $1,000, right? 40 to 50,000, or about $50,000. So in the space of literally 1.5 months, from a $20,000 to $20,000 positions, that's over 6 figures profit in the space of that there. So I'm just trying to share with you is like the way that I personally trade, and this just works for me. I don't do really well when I'm active in the markets a lot, but when I can look for these opportunities, that's when I can start to do really well. Now, there is trade selection, and then there's also trade management, right? And one of the big things I'm sort of guiding you down right now and sort of sharing with you is the trade selection. And one of the reasons why the way that I trade is so powerful is because I'm getting in on the next move, right? So what do I mean by the next move? So we have a move up, right? And then we go through one of the pullbacks, and then the next move happens, and then we go through the pullback. So the thing for me is that what I want to do is I want to be on this move here. See that move there? And now, even if this is going to be what's called a shorter term trade, which a lot of the times when I'm utilizing this type of pattern, I'm generally in and out of it within 1, maybe 2 weeks maximum, right? Not like a Groupon trade or platinum trade I talked about. They're more like a longer term sort of trades where you have the potential of making big moves. But looking at silver right now, one thing that we want to do is we want to wait for, I always call it the sideways pattern. Okay, so we have trend analysis, high lows. We have markets going up, and then we have this sideways. Then the market has another move up. Now we're going sideways, right? So you can see, and then the moving average is trending up. So for me, I'm looking to get in on something like this up here, right? Because that's now going to give me the high probability that we're likely to, at least, I would say, on a bare minimum, spend 2 to 5 days doing something like that, right, on the SLV. Now, when it comes to the SLV, that there alone could be 70%, 80%, maybe more on the options, depending on the volatility of the move, right? They're not as big as, again, these are two different setups. This setup, the one thing I wanted to show you Groupon and Platinum, because there are setups out there that I hold on for, generally for a month or more. But SLV could be one of those trades that could give you 1 to maybe 2 weeks worth of type of movement, and it could be really, really nice. And so for me personally, as you can see here, getting in here on the start of that next move, right? So we have the move up, then the next move starts here. There was only a real short-term move. Then we have a pullback. Next move starts here, and we have the next move up. So what we're doing here is we're getting in at the start of that next move. And the reason why this is so powerful is because if it does move, we can capture this through here. If it is a losing position, well, then the thing for me is that if the market does something like that, then I am out with a 20 or 30% loss, because I like to trade options around this level here. And that's generally, if that happened, I'd be out with maybe a 20 or 30% loss, because I like to trade what's called in the money options with plenty of time. So if that happened, I'd be out with a 20 or 30% loss on the option. Okay, cool. Right? But if it does move for me, we do start to move up, then I can pick up, quite a nice good 70, 80, sometimes even 100% more on these types of maybe 1 to 2 week type of trades. So if you look at that, right, I know in the back of my mind, I'm not in this yet right now, but I am looking to get in on this one because it meets my rules. That very first link in the description there, guys, that's a link to my next webinar that I'm running. And on that webinar, I will show you the system here so you can see exactly how I trade this and so on and so forth. But you see what I'm doing here? I'm always trying to make sure that I'm setting myself up for potential, like if I'm risking 30%, but I have the potential of making an 80% or more, you can see how that plays out, right? And then potentially if I'm risking 30%, right, but then I end up making 300%, now we're talking some serious profit to risk ratio. And that's the way that I personally like to trade. But the thing is for me is as the market steps like it has been on SLV, the best time to try and trade it. Now there is trade selection, and that's what I'm sharing with you right now. the best time to trade it is through here with good risk management. Now what you need to do is then we can go into a bit later on is how do I then manage the trade to continue to let my profits run and to cut my losses short. So that's the first one I wanted to share with you there. But also the actual silver mining sector is doing the same thing as well too, right? So the silver mining sector here is, again, pretty much the same as silver, right? We're getting this move up and then a sideways and then a move up and then a sideways. You see how that's stair steps? So what you want to do is you want to be able to get in right here, and even if we're capturing that short-term move, right? Get in on the breakout here on the SIL and the SILJ. And plus also there's plenty of silver mining stocks that are setting up as well too. If you go dig deep and things, if you look at some of the big, there's a bunch of, actually there's 2 mining stocks that I'm focused on right now. So again, I'm not in these right now for myself, from a trading opportunity, but I'm looking to get in. I just need to wait for my confirmation to say that this is an entry signal for me, and then I'll be taking it, and then it has a massive probability of generating a profit. Now, one thing you want to do is you want to decipher what type of trade this is. So for me, if I got into this trade, once again, I know that it's going to be on average what's called a 2 to 5 day type of trade. Maybe on a maximum, it'll last a week or so, or maybe a week and a half to 2 weeks. But I know most of the time when I get a setup like this, it's in and out within a week, and I can generally pick up a really nice return with the options from there, 70%, 80%, or more. Sometimes, again, just you never know with the options where it's going to be, but they're really, really, really high probability. So that's the first thing that I really wanted to sort of walk you through there of what's happening on the silver and the silver mining sector. And for me, again, like I'm now really focused on this because we are getting that stair step. And if you want, for me, the best time, if you look at the way these stair steps work, right? You got a stair step up, stair step down, stair step up, stair step down. If we're going to go for another if we're going to go for another leg, it just makes sense, right? We want to try to get in here before the leg starts. Get in here before the leg starts, before that next leg goes up. Unfortunately, a lot of traders, they will see SIL going up through here, and then they'll get in and then they'll go sideways. They'll wait for SIL to start to do this here, and then they'll start to get into that sideways period from there, right? I hope you can see here. So this is the way that I like to trade. I like to wait for the stair step to happen, and then for trading purposes, I'm getting in just right at the start of that next leg to the upside. And so that's what I wanted to share with you with the SIL there. One thing that I'm also noticing as well too is USO. USO is actually doing something quite nice. And that is, if we look at this daily chart to the left and these bottom charts are daily charts, these top charts are weekly charts. And as you can see, look what's happening here on this top chart up here. Notice how we're squeezing up through here. But notice what's happening right now. Something really interesting is building up when it comes to this USO chart. We're starting to get, look at this here. We're starting to get this low. Now it was another higher low. Now it's developing another higher low. So this could be, that drop there could be, it's not there yet, could be the startings or the makings of getting a breakout coming up above this 85 level. And if we get that, that's what it's going to look like on the weekly chart. And if we get something like that, and especially if it's a nice, good, real solid breakout with a big increase in volume and so on and so forth, I believe we could start to see something like we saw on Platinum, because Platinum pretty much did the exact same thing. And the reason why I traded it was because of that. Let me show you what I mean here. So if we go to Platinum, if I go back to the actual entry candle that I took here, actually, you know what? I'll go to this one here so you can actually see what I'm looking at here, right? So if we have a look at Platinum, what was Platinum doing at the time? Notice how Platinum was what? See how through there? Now notice and see how it's pretty much the same sort of thing as sideways, and then we end up getting a very strong breakout, but then that's when the explosion happened. This is where these moves here, these moves like Platinum is, okay, I could be in this for 2, 3, 4 weeks, sometimes 6 weeks. Again, I like to use trade management techniques. But also, as you can see here, look at this here. Notice big breakout here? See that big breakout there? Well, that breakout was what? Right there. right? If you do the cursor, you can actually see that that breakout was with that volume increase. Now, if I go back to the time, this was my cue right there. That was my cue to say, okay, we're breaking out now with a big volume spike. And see how it's clearly breaking out above this, maybe what is that, around 1 year? Yeah, around 1 year worth of sideways. And now we're clearly solidly breaking out, a bit of a gap up, breakaway, and a volume there. And then the market then starts to go and do its thing from there, right? And again, that was my trading opportunity. So if we go look at the USO right now, and we see what the USO is doing, we can start to see that we're potentially doing the exact same thing, just a bit wider range when it comes to that level through there. So if I squeeze my charts right up here now, and we get the exact same thing here. Okay, we get the exact same thing. So let me squeeze this up a little bit more so we can get a bit of context here. This one here, like the SLV and the SIO and the SLJ, they're probably going to be maybe 1 to 2 week type of trade. They're more like what I call a cash flow generator trade, because you're in and out within a week or two, and they're very fast trades. They're not one of these trades that's likely to pick up a few 100%, or more. But Platinum and Groupon, they were those type of trades, right? But where USO, if I do get a good signal in USO, that could be one of those trades, just like Platinum, that if it does start to move, right? If we have the move here, there, and then we get something like that, like a real big breakout like that through there, and the volume is like small volume, and then we get a big towering volume, if you sort of go with it with that through there, that would tell me now it's time. Now it's time to where we're likely to start to see a move. Now, what that simply means is that we're likely to see a move. What can happen? Well, what happened with Platinum? It ran up first, then it came back down to test it as support, and then it picked up, and then we had the big explosion through there, and that's when I got out for a really nice profit with my Platinum trade. But I'm trying to share with you here that, again, it's important in the way that I trade. I know the way that I need a type of trade, like for example, the silver and the SI and the SLJ. I know they are the type of trade that's only likely to last a week or two, and then that's going to be the trade done and dusted. Right? So it's important that you know what the trade's likely to do. So I put things in the baskets. So a level 1 trade is likely to be a shorter term, 1, maybe 2 weeks, but most of the time I'm in and out within say 2 to 5 days. That's what I sort of call it from there. That's a level 1 trade. A level 2 trade is like a USO, that if I get a good setup, that could, and just like Platinum and Groupon, those trades have the potential of making big moves. So therefore I could be in it for a month or more, and then generally capitalize on some really big profits from there. And this is the one thing I wanted to show you here. And I do see that if we start to see this big breakout, we're likely to, and if you see how it's the trades that's likely to make big moves, it's nothing. We're not making something up, right? We're just seeing the same thing again and again. So what I mean by that is this. Let me go to Platinum. Why did Platinum have a big breakout? Why did it have a big breakout? Because look what happened beforehand, right? We went sideways. So whenever I just noticed this here. Whenever the market does this here for 1 month, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and then we start to get a breakout, we tend to go sideways. But if we get a breakout, we tend to actually have a really big move, right? Just like also my GRPN trade that I took and that I did. Why did Groupon have such a massive move to the upside? See that through there? You'll be able to see that, and this is where, like, I know in the back of my mind, I'm not making stuff up. It's just the same thing again and again. Platinum took off because it did nothing, channeled for 1 year, and then we broke out. We had a big move. Why did Groupon actually have such a really big move to the upside here? Because look at this here, sideways, right? This thing just went really sideways for about 1.5 years. Actually, what's that? Yeah, 1.5, almost 2 years. Then when we did get the breakout, as you can see, that's when we actually end up having a really big move because of it. So see how it's one thing that's really helped me with my personal trading is that I'm not making something up, right? I'm not guessing. I'm like, oh, I know when the market does this here, when we do get a breakout, we're probably likely to make a big move. Hence the big profit on Groupon, right? Hence the big profit on platinum, and the same thing, right? See how it's the same thing, and this one thing that's actually helped me so much with my own personal trading is it's the same thing. So now I'm looking at USO, and I'm squeezing this up. Now I do know that, guess what? We've been doing this for all this time. This is actually now a couple of years. So when we do start the breakout, we're likely to make some serious moves. Now, again, what I'll need is I'll need a good breakout with a big volume increase, like a real big volume increase. And if I show you the platinum here once again, you'll be able to see what I'm looking at here. So if I go to the platinum, this is the platinum here. Notice the platinum here and see this big volume spike. See how big that volume spike was? You know what that is, right? This is the key. It's not just a breakout. One of the best things, whether it's even from a shorter term trade. So what I'm looking for on silver, what I'm looking for on SI, on SLJ, even from a trade that I might only be in it for about a week. Now, I say a week, that's still a good 70, 80%, sometimes more return, right? Again, $20,000 position, you can make $15 or so thousand in a week. Now, but one of the best things that I've learned is that the volume, there's really only two things you can rely on with your own personal trading, and that is volume, that is the market, and the volume. And if we've been doing nothing for a while and we get a big breakout like that, we get a big volume spike, that's institutions showing you the hand. It's saying, here we go. And this was the cue for me to say, here we go. And then hence, we end up making a big move. And look at the volume ever since then, right? It just stayed consistent. You know why? This is now institutions been buying this up, and I got in right on early as the institutions rode up. Thank you very much for your homemade biscuits. Now, it's too late to get into platinum, right? Why? Because we've been going up for so much, we're probably going to go through a bit of a resting period. It's just gone up. We need a bit of a correction or a sideways phase just to cool off for a bit before we get going again. And so once again, if I go back to my USO chart once again, and I bring this down here, now you can see how it's the same thing. So this is more like a level 2 type of trade for me, right? Once again, guys, that first link in the description there, go join my next webinar, and I'll be able to teach you all the details to the webinar and to my system and the system I use. But as you can see, because I know what I'm looking for every day, is it a level 1 trade? Cool. All right, this could be what's called a cash flow generator trade, where I'm in and out within a week. Nice, beautiful cash flow trade. Make 60, 70, 80% return, sometimes more, sometimes 100. There's many trades I've made over 100% return within a week, like utilizing the options. Beautiful, in and out quickly within a week. And then there might be level 2 trades like a platinum or a Groupon or maybe even USO when it does set up, where I know that I might be in it for a month or maybe even 2 months, and then where I could potentially then start to really generate not just a 80% or a 100%, but where I can start to pick up on a good few 100% move. But I need to learn how to manage it properly as well too. So there are different things that I'm looking at here in the markets, but I really want to encourage you to start to segment your analysis, right? And because I just know the way these systems work, right? And as you can see, the platinum and the Groupon were the same thing. So therefore, when you get these sideways movements, I know in the back of my mind that when I get that and I get the breakout, the sideways movement, they're likely to be a big move, not just for a week, but they're likely to last for quite a bit of time. 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks, right? And that's the reason why USO. So I know even before getting the USO, I could be in this for a month. So therefore, I need to make sure I've got plenty of time with my options, or if I'm buying it, and give it plenty of time and stuff like that as well too. So there we go, traders. Hope this really helps you out. Have an amazing day, guys, and I'll speak to you real soon.